everybody, to another episode of Game Rivals. It's been a while. I'm your host, Maximilian X, and it's been a hot minute since I put out a new episode. And I have good reasons for that. I'm foregoing like the regular intro as per usual to basically address everything. I'm just going to address it a little bit and then we're going to get into the episode itself. This is not going to be a long episode, as you probably can tell from the minutes. But yeah, so after the last episode I did, I think it's been like at least over 4 months now. It was hard for me to get back into doing this. And part of it is I've been doing this for now 6 years now. And for at least one of these years, I've done it solo. And I was able to keep up with it because there was a lot of news coming out, a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about. And I was blessed with having some really fun guests on the podcast. And to all my guests from last year, I really appreciate all of you. And I am looking forward to at least having some of you back and some new faces grace these interwebs with me together on this podcast. So yeah, after the last podcast I did, it was really hard for me to come back to it. And part of it was finding the motivation to do so because, well, for one, the news was kind of the same, kind of samey, kind of slow, but also it was getting more and more challenging for me who does this as something for fun, to find the motivation to actually still do it for fun. Doing this solo makes it really hard because the original idea of Game Rivals, as the name suggested, was to have conversations, to have dialogues. And when Sean decided to leave, I was like, look, it's fine. I was the guy that wanted to do the podcast anyways. I'll figure something out. If I can find a host, semi-permanent or permanent, that would be great. I did eventually find someone who was willing to do so, and I haven't talked to them in a while, and I kind of hope they still are interested. Last time I talked to them, they still seemed interested in helping out, and I appreciate that. And this person also helped out with a bunch of stuff as well to make the presentation of at least the video portion better. I'm still pretty crappy with the audio stuff, but at least the video stuff was looking better. And hey, even up to the last episode, I had transitions and I had nice cuts. There were not a lot of ums in there, you know what I'm saying? And it was going actually pretty good. But yeah, again, the whole idea of Game Rivals was to have a conversation. And you can't really have a conversation with yourself about news that you find interesting, because the whole point of having a conversation is having a counterpoint to that conversation. Someone who either agrees with you or doesn't agree with you, or agrees with you but has a different reason as to why they agree with you instead of what you think. That is the beauty of a conversation. If you look at most podcasts right now, most of them are conversations or interviews. If they have a guest on, it's then an interview format, which is great. I love that. I love doing the guest episodes because I get to ask them questions, and in turn, they get to ask me questions. We don't really talk about news when guests come on unless they want to, or if they find it okay. If there's something big that was announced, then we do that. After a certain while, the motivation just wasn't there. I'm going to be real. Just sitting in front of the computer, talking to the camera, talking to you guys is different than having someone to actually like have a back and forth with. So I've had this in my mind for quite some time where I was like, okay, if I can't find a permanent co-host, then I need to at least change the format for when I'm doing it solo. And that is basically what's going on right now. So whenever I'm doing a solo episode, from here on out, unless it's something really big that dropped news-wise, I won't do news solo. I might mention some news articles here and there when I do a solo episode, but it's mostly gonna be probably about one topic, and I'm just gonna talk about that and just focus on that instead, unless there are other articles that I can talk about that interest me as a person, but also I feel like people might not be aware of. So you're going to have less news when I do it solo. If I can figure out the co-host thing, those will be the episodes that are going to be more news focused. When we have special guests, it's going to be focused on the special guests, of course. I already have some suggestions of having special guests on, and I really can't wait to talk to them and hopefully get them on the show. So that's a new format. That's a new way Game Rivals is going forward. If it's just me, I'll probably be talking about something more interesting. I might be doing some in-depth analysis on like a topic, which I'm going to be doing today. Well, not an analysis, but more of a prediction for a bunch of stuff, mainly the Nintendo stuff, but also a little bit about this PlayStation 5 Pro, because that's also a thing that still has to happen. And also a little bit about my thoughts about Game Pass, the new format, which is, I think, going to be rolling out right about now until somewhere mid-September. So yeah, I'll be talking about that in a bit. But yeah, suffice to say, I'm not going to say that I didn't miss doing this. I did miss doing this, mostly because it was another way to reach out to people and have a conversation, whether it's indirect with people in like the comments or giving me feedback through other channels about the podcast. That was nice to have. At the same time, I'm not going to lie, just because I'm doing this for fun doesn't mean that I wasn't hoping for it to grow. And that is also part of the reason why I had to take a step back, because I didn't see any growth. And you know what? It's fine. If you're doing it for fun, then it doesn't really matter if you grow or not. But after doing it for 5 years with little to no growth, that kind of hurts. That kind of eats at you. It kind of eats at your motivation to do so, right? I can imagine anybody who's going through the grind and doing it, even if it is a passion project, right? Going through that grind and never seeing that growth. There are some people that'll do stuff like this for years. They'll never see growth, but they're still doing it because they love it. And it's not because I didn't love doing the podcast. It's just that it's way harder to do a specific format when you're lacking a part of the format to make it work. So that's honestly the reason. Those are honestly the reasons why. Missing that crucial aspect of having a co-host to banter off of and against and with, and also just a format that didn't work with it, and also just being burnt out on not seeing any growth. Again, just because I'm back, I'm not expecting any growth anytime soon or at all. But at the very least, I want to keep doing this as a way to hopefully start conversations or keep conversations going on certain aspects, or at least bring some different perspective on maybe stuff that you've heard of or what your own opinions are on it. Which is kind of funny because one of the things that we hope would happen, and that's because at the time, I don't think that feature is there anymore. There was this feature where people could send in a message on anchor.fm, kind of like a call-in thing, and then you, as the podcaster, could use that as like a calling thing. Basically, you could essentially still do that if you like DM through some means and like make it available to people. One, I haven't figured that out yet, so I don't think that feature is going to come back anytime soon. But if I could do something like that, it would be nice, because mostly then I'd at least have something to show for it, and then also have kind of a conversation with all of you through that kind of interaction, which would be really nice. I don't know if I could do that or set something like that up. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I don't know if I would do this. There was this idea also a long time ago that to improve viewership and get more people, that me and Sean would stream recording the podcast, which I guess I could still do if I wanted to. I mean, I have the channel for it. If I remember the password. Oh boy, I really need to look up the password. But yeah, maybe that is an idea to go for. I probably wouldn't stream, like, I have the Twitch channel, but maybe I would just stream it to YouTube instead. Because at least from my previous experience, from my recent experience, sorry, that I have to say it that way. From my recent experience, live streaming on YouTube kind of works, or at least it gets more views. I don't know why. I don't know how, but it gets more views than I do on YouTube, than I do on Twitch when I go live. Which, not disparaging my fans on Twitch. You know, people come there because they really support me as a straight streamer. But I didn't have the same, like, it yeah, there's less interaction on YouTube because I can't read the messages there, and I don't even know if there are messages that come in at that time. But yeah, it's kind of weird to me. It's kind of really weird to me. Then do not expect that at all. So yeah, maybe I'll do it there. Maybe I'll figure out how OBS works on Mac so I can do a simul stream. But who knows? So that's it. That's the long and short of it. So that's why I've been away for so long in terms of Game Rivals. I've been streaming whenever I can stream, as per usual, usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays now. I have set upon that being a fixed thing, Tuesdays and Thursdays. On occasion, I'll still stream on days that are not Tuesdays and Thursdays if I don't have really much of a wiggle room to stream. But the idea is to have days that people know that I'll be online, and if they don't see me online, that they know, couldn't stream. Sometimes it's nice to catch people off guard and stream on their day, but if possible, I honestly just want to just for now do those 2 days until situations change for me, like work wise. Yeah, so that's it. That's the whole thing. So yeah, with that said, let's go into the things that I want to discuss on this episode. So the first thing that I want to talk about is and I have to bring it up because I didn't even prepare it. So yeah, a couple of weeks ago, the Xbox announced that Game Pass is getting a price change and a structure change at that. So the way this works, let me see if I can find the article here. Gosh, I hope I can actually find the article. Because the way this works is that they are added basically a new tier and they changed some tiers. So the way that works is they essentially gate kept day one releases, which is so interesting because they said that because in every instance of talking about Game Pass, they promote that as like, oh, you get games day one. And up until this point, this was true, for a few exceptions. Game Pass Core, which was previously Xbox Live, that only comes with a set amount of games. That does not come with day one releases. That is purely so that you can play online, but also have some games, kind of like as a tastemaker. I don't know why they give you the 25 games. It has to be part of the branding of Game Pass, right? Because it's still a bunch of games, which, for better or worse, is at least something over games for gold. And damn it, where's that article? Is this it? No, that's... Damn it, IGN, yeah, that is not... Oh, for frick's sake. Stop doing that. I hate this. Where is the gosh darn art? Why isn't there any other place that's giving me the correct information right now? Why is IGN the top billing and then Reddit of all places? Yeah, okay, this is a lot better. Okay. So, this change is happening pretty much right away-ish. Outside of the new tier being introduced, which is, I think, coming next month. So the way it works now is you have Game Pass Core, right? You have Game Pass Core, it gives you a couple games and it allows you to play online. Then you had Game Pass Console, which is basically regular Game Pass, day one releases, blah, 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 blah. The whole shaboing boing except for playing online. That's what you had, that's what you needed the Core for. which is kind of funny because that makes no sense. The console one made no sense when they changed Xbox Live to Game Pass Core, because the console version did not give you online, as far as I can. Game Pass PC also has day one releases. You don't have to pay for online because it's PC. That's not how that works. The online stuff is only for console. And then you have Ultimate. Pretty much across the board, you can play anywhere. You have the cloud, you have cloud gaming, you have the PC games, and you have day one releases, obviously, for a pretty good price. That's changed now, where they basically discontinued core, or not core, standard, console, and now rebranded it as standard, and they took away day one releases in this new standard format. It's cheaper because it's now, I think the standard is now 15 bucks. Okay, so this is still not the correct thing that I'm looking for. Let me see. Thank you, The Verge. Yeah, so here's the way it's breaking down, right? So the way it's breaking down is that I think core is still the cheapest thing around, because core is like $10 a month. Then you have the new standard, which even this article is not great at it. No, that's still that stupid list that makes no sense. Jeez, where is it? Yeah, so Xbox Game Maker started emailing Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, warning of a price increase to $20 a month, which is a $3 increase from the current $16.99, so $17. So from $17 to $20 for Ultimate. PC Game Pass also getting a price hike of $2 from $9.99 to $11.99 a month, and still having access to day one titles. Game Pass, gosh darn it, Game Pass Standard will not have day one releases, and for some weird reason they don't. There it is. Yeah, will not have day one releases. It's $14.99 a month. So I'm assuming that they did retroactively add online services to standard, because standard used to be console. Because again, you don't get standard if you want the PC games. If you want the PC games, you get the PC Game Pass, which is a different price altogether, which makes no sense. Heck, even at this point, let's say you like it, both of these tiers, the standard and the PC, as far as I can tell, don't support cloud, because the only tier that supports cloud streaming is Ultimate. So Xbox Cloud Gaming is only on Ultimate, if I'm not mistaken. So that one, if you wanted to play on cloud, you still could get PC Game Pass, use GeForce Now, and still play those games on the cloud. Granted, that does mean that you need a Game Pass subscription, which is a separate cost, but it's there if you're already signed up for GeForce Now. It's already something you're paying for, so that price almost becomes semi-negligible, in my opinion. Yeah, it's probably cheaper to get it if you don't have GeForce Now to get Game Pass Ultimate and have access to Xbox Cloud Gaming. To be fair, in my opinion, GeForce Now works better than Xbox Cloud Gaming in its current form. Now, these things do keep improving over time, so I expect Xbox Cloud Gaming, I think that's still technically in beta, will improve over time. Until that reaches 1.0, I'm expecting it to get better. But here's the really fun part, right? People are like, yeah, this happened. They said that it wouldn't happen and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, well, they are a company. They need to figure out a way to make more money. And clearly, one of the things that they think is by retooling and revamping everything, that they can not force, but get people to upgrade to Ultimate more sooner than not, than just being like, oh, I'm good with like the console version. I don't play online. I don't care. The only thing I care about is the day one games. So if you care about the only way to go is either PC route, which again, like I said, if you want to play on other devices, through like say GeForce Now, that's an option. If you want to just get it and have it available on every device that you own, like for example your Amazon Fire Stick, again that is a really weird. Besides the point. Point being is that if you want to have access to Game Pass on almost every device that you can imagine outside of, third-party consoles, Ultimate is the way to go. It costs $20 a month, which is, again, for what you get, is still a decent deal, but it's also really pricey in the grand scheme of things. Because now you're paying $20 a month for 12 months in a year, and unless you're playing games every month, it's kind of almost not worth it. It either forces you to play more games, which for most of us, we are adults. We don't have the time for that. If you're younger, if you're doing this for your kid or for your family, and you're not the only one that's enjoying Game Pass, go ahead, I would say. I'd be like, that's a great ass deal. The only downside is that only one account can access the Game Pass, but if you don't care about like progression and stuff, and if it's not online games that they're playing, then who gives a rat's butt, right? It doesn't really matter. Go ahead, go nuts. But if you're not playing games every month on your Xbox or on your PC, well, the PC is way more easier to justify now. If you have a PC, I'd say do that instead, because one, you probably don't care about cloud streaming because you have a computer that is more than capable of running all these games. If you have a PC that can run most of these games, get PC Game Pass and don't even touch Ultimate. If you have a console, you're kind of screwed because Standard is now absolute trash, or it's just there for people that I don't know who Core is for. People that want to play games online, like that has to be the only reason why that exists. Because as far as I can tell, I don't think that Standard has online, and it's kind of annoying because there's no real list of like what is in there. Maybe if I check out the website, maybe Microsoft's stupid website has like what does what, because all these news articles do not have that. So let's see if they actually added the new tiers or not. It doesn't look like they did. The website still says join for $1. That's funny. Just show me the gosh darn tiers, man. Yeah, so it's still the same. It hasn't upgraded yet. Like I said, I think this is coming in hot on September. But for now, it still has, well, for now, the thing that is there, because it's not showing the console anymore, it only shows the two. It shows Core, so console has been discontinued, but for some reason Standard hasn't been introduced. So we don't know exactly what that covers. So if Standard allows you to play online, it makes sense. If Standard does not allow you to play online, like the console edition of Game Pass did not allow you to play online, it makes no sense whatsoever. The only real difference between PC and Ultimate, honestly, is just online console multiplayer. That's the only difference. So again, if you have a PC capable, or if you have GeForce Now that you're already paying for, PC Game Pass is the way to go. Because either you're installing that bad boy on your PC and you have a gaming PC that can take it, or you have Game Pass, GeForce Now, and you're doing it over the cloud and it works pretty smooth. So your choices are set. Core is only interesting if you're planning on buying your games anyway. So if you're that one guy that buys the one game a year, like Call of Duty or Madden or EAFC, you're pretty much set, right? You get Core, you get to play online, you're good. Ultimate is a commitment. Also, they changed the $1 deal apparently. It's the first 14 days is for $1, then the rest is $19.99 a month. They couldn't even give you the dignity of the $1 lasting you the entire month as they did before. Also, a really annoying thing that they changed with all of this. So remember how people used to use the whole $1 thing to buy a bunch of them, basically buy 12 so that they have it for $12 for a year, and they'd stack it. There's no more stacking. That makes no sense to me at all. So PlayStation Plus still allows you to stack, thank God. If you've stacked before and you're set for at least the next couple of months or a year or whatever, good for you. That's great. Hi, same here. But if you didn't, now you're SOL. Makes no sense to me why you would take this away outside of closing a loophole that they used to have, which they already did by taking away the $1 for a month. They canceled that. Now it's just the first 14 days is $1, and then afterwards you have to still pay the full price per month. If you're already doing that, then why get rid of the stacking? The only other reason that I can think of is that they don't want people to buy a bunch of codes and then resell them for cheap or something. I'm not really sure how that would even work, because where's the profit in that? It's super weird. So this whole thing with Xbox Game Pass changing, honestly, I hate to say it, but it was kind of inevitable, because they had to figure out a way to make Game Pass way more profitable. If they're gonna have less people using Game Pass, or the same amount of people using Game Pass, they need to find a way to make a profit of it. So that means they have to increase the price, and they also have to make it so that people can't just, I don't know, buy more in one go, so they don't have to look over their shoulder every month or every year. Still don't know why they took away stacking, but that is the situation with Game Pass. Oh my gosh, I talked way longer about that than I thought I would. So that's Game Pass. So the next thing I want to talk about a little bit, I'm not going to go into deep because there's still no new information about it, and that is the PlayStation 5 Pro as a new console that's supposed to come out. In the meantime, we did get an announcement during the summer Summer Game Fest, that there is a new Xbox coming out, an Xbox Series X without the disc drive, that's coming out in a new color as well. I don't know if the pricing of that is out yet. I don't know when that's supposed to come out, because I don't think they announced a date, unless I was wrong. I could be wrong. Forgive me on that one. If I try to look that up, I think it's going to take another forever. So yeah, that is also happening, because they all want momentum going into the holiday season. So I would assume that it would come out before Black Friday in terms of that Xbox Series X without disc. I don't know what they're going to call that, but discless Xbox Series X. It looks fine. It doesn't have a disc slot, which, yeah, they kind of, like, that's the one thing I will say that Sony kind of did right with the introduction of the Slim, is that now you have a PlayStation out there that gives you the option of having a disc or not having a disc drive. And back when this was rumored and announced and blah blah blah, I always thought that was a good idea, a great idea. The only downside is that the drive is still expensive. So, and here I was hoping that at least the drive would be cheaper, so that once you eventually do go for, like, hey, you know what, I want a disc drive, I want to have a physical collection again, you pay like $40 for it. But no, it's like $80 for that dang disc drive. And I have to assume that part of it is just because it's a custom thing, specifically made for that model, the PlayStation 5. The word I was looking for is bespoke. It's a bespoke design. So that's why it's that expensive, because I cannot imagine a Blu-ray drive costing $80 for no reason other than that it is a very bespoke thing. So with that in mind, with the Slim coming out, like, what, 6 months ago, it is interesting that they are also now bringing out a PlayStation 5 Pro, which was rumored like for almost a year now that it was coming, and we haven't gotten an official confirmation, but basically it is still happening. behind the scenes. We still haven't got an official announcement as of this recording. So I don't know. They might announce it tomorrow, and then yeah, and then it had happened. I don't think we're gonna get an announcement if they're gonna release it this year. I don't think we're getting an announcement anytime soon. We have Tokyo Game Show to look forward to, which will be the first time in a really long time that PlayStation is attending. But from what I can remember, they're not really there to show off stuff. I think they're mostly there just to have meetings with developers and other partners. So they're there in that capacity, last I checked. So they might show it off. I mean, it's in September, so we'll know when that happens. And that would be the perfect moment to announce it during TGS, because I think that's the last big showcase, big public showcase that they could announce something like that. That they do like a Sony showcase, a PlayStation showcase around TGS time. They could also do one after TGS. I don't know. We don't know what they're going to do. So I guess we'll have to wait and see when that comes around. As for what I think of it as a concept and what the rumors are saying that it's going to be slightly more powerful, but not so much that you would notice a big difference, which is interesting. The other thing that that is being rumored, which I still think is stupid, is that it's going to support 8K, and it's like, no, the architecture is not there for it. Even if they were to upgrade all the components, the RAM, the clock speed on the CPU and GPU, no, that's not happening. For one, it would be way more expensive than the regular PlayStation 5. And you remember, they're putting, mostly what they're doing is probably sticking to the design of the Slim, which means that it will also have a detachable drive, which is a phenomenal idea, honestly. I don't know why Xbox was like, we're just gonna make one without a disk drive, and because I've been like wondering this for years now. Is that why not just bring out a disk drive for the Series S? I'm not even kidding. Like, just bring out a disk drive for the Series S for like maybe $40. Frick, if you're gonna be bespoke and make it 80. I don't know. But yeah, just do that. Actually, be customer friendly and say like, hey, if you have like a detachable Blu-ray disc drive, you can use this on your Xbox Series S and on your diskless Xbox Series X. If they want to go the bespoke route, go the bespoke route, or at least do both and give people options. Because you know what drives sales? Options. The Series S is a bottleneck for sure, especially for developers. But in terms of sales for like your average Joe Schmo, most dads are probably going to end up buying a Series S anyway for little Johnny, just because it's a cheaper option. They might then realize that they made a mistake because the dang thing does not have a disk drive, and the only games that they can play is stuff that they buy in the Microsoft store. Or if they have Game Pass. And I know that machine was more made with Game Pass in mind more than anything, but at least give us the option for a disk drive. If you give people the option, even if the disk drive doesn't do well, you gave them the option. Either take the loss and do that, or make it so that you don't take a loss on the disk drive and do that. Either way, especially if you make it open source and be like, oh yeah, just like any Blu-ray drive will do, man, you're golden. You're set. You don't have to worry about like people buying disk drives from you and like you not making a profit of said disk drives. They'll just head out and buy a disk drive that's compatible. Just make sure that it's a good compatibility list exists. Something like that. Anything. Because right now, that is the magic key that holds Sony. Because people will just now buy just the discless version, and down the line, they might buy the disc version if they decide to go physical. it's a great strategy. I think that Sony will eventually ditch discs altogether. But at this point, it is very brilliant and it gives their audience an option. And it means that once they bring out the Pro and they do a digital version of the Pro, it still has the option to add a disk drive. It's kind of freaking brilliant, honestly. So that means you can put out a relatively cheaper Pro just because it doesn't have a disk drive. It's kind of brilliant. I'm assuming that's what they're going for because, again, we don't know anything outside of that. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to talk about PlayStation 5 Pro. So, yeah. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about, and looking at that time, wow, this went out way longer than I thought. Man, I have not lost my touch in rambling. Oh my gosh, okay. I promise I'm going to keep this short, this last part short. So, we have Nintendo. And like, it's kind of unfortunate that I did not do episodes back when these were originally announced. We have Nintendo's president, Furukawa-san, announcing a couple of months ago that, yes, the new system is on its way, and they're going to be announcing more about it within the next fiscal year, the current one that we're in right now, which ends March 31st, 2025. So between now and then, we're at the very least going to get an announcement. Not a release, just an announcement. Which is great, because my money has always been on that if they were going to bring it out in 2025, they show it off before the end of the year. They do a proper announcement in January or February, which leaves them either a month and a half or 2 months to release it before the end of the fiscal year. That's where my money is. Although they did say they wanted to sell 13 million Switches before the end of the fiscal year. So at the very least, they might release it after March, maybe before the summer is over. I don't think a long runway to like the holiday 2025 is a great idea. So I don't think that would happen. But if that were the case, that means that they would announce it before the fiscal year's over and then properly reveal it, or really reveal it before the fiscal year's over and then properly announce when it's going to come out closer to holiday 2025. That is not an idea that I subscribe to, mostly because at this point in time, there's a lot of factors that are probably weighing on the executives at Nintendo. One is the weak yen, which the government of Japan decided to try and prop up by increasing the interest of the yen, and then subsequently almost crashed the entire gosh darn market in like a day. Like billions of dollars in the tech industry just went up in smoke, including Nintendo. So, and like other like game publishers that are on the stock exchange, Square Enix, Capcom, and such. So that was not great. So that's part of it. Another part is that sales have finally really truly started slowing. I mean, sales have been slowing in general in the game industry for years now, in terms of like console hardware sales. But for the Switch, it's always been the one that's sold the most. But like this fiscal year that they've went into is the first time they see a significant decrease. Probably because they said that they were making a new system and now people are way more cautious in buying a new Switch. If they've heard of it, if they haven't heard of it, then, they just buy it. But I'm thinking most people have by now that care enough to want to know about this, and they are now either waiting for that Switch successor to be announced, so they're not buying a Switch, or they already bought one, considering there's almost 150 million of them out there, which would be really nice if they could hit the 150 before the new system releases, because that would be a nice number for multiple reasons. But also, the way I see it still feels like they would have more opportunities to capitalize on it. For one, next March, the Switch will be 8 years old. My gosh, that is really a long time. The only thing that was significant in the change was that we got a refined version of the Switch, which had a slightly better battery life, and the OLED, and the Switch Lite, if you count that as well, which some people do. So it's like, the way I see it is that if they want to recapture momentum, because at this point the momentum in Switch sales has dwindled a lot, like a lot, and I think it's just gonna. I would be silly to not think that it's not gonna dwindle more and more over the next coming weeks and months. They might release another holiday bundle, which may not do well, because again, most of these bundles are bought by parents that are buying gifts for kids for the holiday season. They are not aware, unless they are very in tune into like video game news, or at least staying up to date on Nintendo news specifically. They are not aware of a new system coming out anytime soon. They might have a cautious inkling about it, but they are not aware. That's how I see it. Because I still get from like regular Joe Schmoes that know that I am very into Nintendo and into gaming news, still asking me like, hey, when's the next system coming out, or is Nintendo going to bring out a next system? That second question I still get, because people have noticed that the Switch has been out for quite some time, so they're either wondering if there's a new system coming out or if it's safe enough for them to just pick up this one. And at least if the rumors are true, backwards compatibility is on the table. So yeah, if you want to pick up a Switch, honestly. Probably get one either used or used where you know that it's guaranteed that it's working and not that it's broken, or get it on a good deal, because I'm pretty sure you can probably get some good deals coming up in the next couple of months. Maybe not now, but in the next couple of months, especially heading into the holiday season, you're probably going to see a lot of great deals during Black Friday. So there's that. So maybe look forward to those. As for what I think about the Switch 2, what it's going to be in terms of like what we've heard so far from rumors and whatnot, I think it's going to be a powerful system relative to the Switch. If we don't see like PlayStation 4 level graphics on like handheld mode, well, probably not, right? I mean, yeah, if we get that level of fidelity on handheld mode, that's already a plus in my book. Even if it is at 720p, right? It's about the fidelity, not just about the resolution. If it's still a 720p screen, but the fidelity of like a PlayStation 4 is there, I would take it. If it's a higher resolution with PlayStation 4 kind of graphics, let's go. The thing that people really want, and I agree with, is upscaling. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't care how they're going to do it. If they're still, assuming that they're still working with NVIDIA, which is pretty much all but confirmed that they are still working with NVIDIA, then we, at the very least, should see DLSS being supported, and maybe FRS being supported, or any other kind of upscaling. We've seen Nintendo actively use FRS in their own games that have been released more recently. I think one of them was the Princess Peach game uses it. And what is the other game that came out before that? I don't remember. I think it was Mario RPG also uses FRS, and some other games before it also use a form of FRS to improve resolution and stuff like that. Not so much like upscaling, but just like improving resolution and fidelity. Like, yeah, if you're using an upscaler to improve fidelity, let's freaking go for it. If it also means that people can have output it, then that's even better. Doesn't matter to me. I don't have a 4K TV. I might get one eventually, but for now, I don't have one. But for those that do, hey, this gives you another reason to upgrade from your Switch to the Switch's successor. Or if you've been holding out for a very long time, this is your time to get a new Nintendo system. If it supports that, right? We know for a fact that the Nintendo accounts will transfer over, which hopefully means that all games previously purchased will also be compatible. We also know that there's going to be some level of backwards compatibility, whether it's a complete support of the um, the library, couldn't think of the word, of the library or not is something that we have yet to see, or how they're going to do it, or like if they're going to have you pay more, which they did on the Wii U, which for virtual console games that you bought before on the Wii, you had to pay $1 or $1.50 extra just so that you could play virtual console games that you bought before, but now on the Wii U. Weird strategy. It kind of didn't work, but yeah, they did that. I hope they don't do that ever again. I don't think they will. The great news is that means that even though the Nintendo Switch Online apps, despite the fact that their libraries have grown slowly over time, and then for some reason this year they've been punching it up, including the expansion pass one, which is super weird because I feel like for the past 8 years, 7 years, as it's been out, the rollout of games for those subscription first services were either slow or trickled down to almost next to nothing. Like last year, they barely brought anything out, and then this year, there's like a whole bunch of games that came out, which is, I'm grateful for it, but it's still weird. There's no ebb and flow to. There's an ebb and flow to this for some reason, instead of it being a steady release. I'd prefer steady releases, but I'm assuming licensing is a problem. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, I like being surprised, so I'm just gonna let Nintendo surprise me, and what else they might think of. There might be some stuff with the controllers that they do differently. There might be something with the system they do differently. I don't know. I like being surprised, so until then, I guess we'll wait until they surprise us or surprise me. And with that being said, oh my gosh, I said this was going to be a short episode, but I could still ramble like the best of them. So that's it. That has been this week's Game Rivals. If it's looking weird or it's looking way more basic and there's no flashy stuff, that's because I did that on purpose. The flashy stuff will come back with the next episode. Because again, this was more of me just letting you guys know that Game Rivals is not dead, but also let you guys know where I've been and where Game Rivals will be going forward. We'll be going to from this point forward. So yeah, that's it. I have been and always will be Maximilian X. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I haven't done this in so long that I'm doing it in the wrong order. Yeah, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcasting show, don't forget to leave a review, leave a 5-star review. That helps with visibility. I know that's a very nasty plug, but hey, if I want more people to find the show, that's the only way that's going to happen. So please do. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to leave a like, leave a follow if you want more of these kind of content, and hit the notification bell so that you get notified as soon as a new episode goes. If you want to find me, I am at Maximilian on at Maximilian_X on Instagram. I am the same on Twitch, twitch.tv/Maximilian_X, where I stream every Tuesday and Thursday whenever possible. And yeah, that is it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you much for listening. If you've been following for the 5+ years that I and for the most part Sean Templar have been doing this, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. So back to the regular sign off. I have been and always will be Maximilian X, and I'll see you all of you beautiful rivals next time. Later.